my name's and this is my volunteer.
Hello, Chris.
And today we're going to show you skilled and unskilled versions of the vertical jump. I would recommend, if you don't know how to do it, I would recommend to go on YouTube and look for a really good video that explains what you are attempting to do. And I ended up buying two different books. Plyometrics of Anatomy, and I bought the Delaware's Women's Strengthening Training Anatomy Workout Book. You can find these online, Amazon probably, but they're just really good books to have online or as a reference for yourself, just so you are doing your exercises correctly. So we're going to demonstrate the correct positioning before he actually does the vertical jump. So Chris's joints that are involved in this movement are going to be his ankle, his knee, his hip, and his shoulder. His secondary would be his spinal column. So we're going to lower him down where his knees don't go over his toes. If they do, then just kind of scale back a little bit, so where that you could see your toes. So right now he could see his toes. His knee is flexed. His hip is flexed. His shoulder is in a neutral spine, and his spinal cord is at a 45-degree angle. His head is forward, because you don't want to hurt yourself, and he is in a really good spot to do the vertical jump. So he will jump. As you can see, his arms, I forgot to say he was in it. So we're going to show you a side view of Christopher and the vertical jump. As you can tell, his knees are not past his toes. If they were past his toes, that would be incorrect, and then he would have to adjust. So he would scale back just a little bit so that he can still see his toes. His knee again is still in a flexed. His hip is still flexed. His arms are still in the neutral spine. His ankle is in plantar flexion. And he's ready to show you the side view of the jump. So go ahead. I'm going to show you the example in the back on how to correctly set up for vertical jump. His spine is in a 45-degree angle. His head is looking straight forward. You keep your eyes forward. His shoulder still neutral. His hip is now in a pelvic rotation. His knee is flexion, is still in flexion, and his ankle is in dorsiflexion. Okay, so we're going to show you the side view of his stance and positioning of the vertical jump. So he's going to lower himself down. Again, make sure your knees don't pass your toes. His ankle is in dorsiflexion. His knee and hip is in flexion. His shoulder again is in spine. His spinal column is at a 45-degree angle, and his head is facing forward. So when he sees where he's going to see himself, ready, and jump. So we're going to show you the techniques from a frontal view. Christopher's going to lower himself down, and remember to, if you can't see your toes, then you need to scale back just a little bit until you can see your toes. His ankle is in dorsiflexion. His knee and hip is in flexion. His shoulder is in a sagittal. His arms are in a neutral, and his spine is still in a 45-degree angle. His head is forward, so he can see, and he's going to jump. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to show you 3 mistakes or common errors that people have when attempting to do a vertical jump. I'm going to ask my volunteer Chris to do a vertical jump, but without having any prior knowledge and know-how on what he would think a vertical jump is, without actually knowing the proper techniques and skill set. So, okay, Chris, do you know what a vertical jump is?
No, I do not. But I will show you how an unskilled person would do a vertical jump.
As you can see, Christopher, he squatted down really, really fast, like you would do as a loaded muscle, and then you would spring up. His knees actually went over his toes, and he actually plantar flexed. His ankle is actually off the ground. His knees are over his toes. His spine is way out of proportion right now. His butt, his hip is extended way too far, where he can definitely hurt himself. And his head he's just looking down. He's not even looking forward. So we're going to show you from the side. When his knee was over, see how his knee is way over his toes, and his ankle is actually up off the ground. His spine was really, really forward, like if he was picking something up, and his head was looking down and not forward to where he needs to be balanced to self out in his posture. So he can actually hurt his neck, his back, his hip, his hamstrings and quadriceps. Another common mistake people have is overload. They would train one part of their body. Have you ever seen those people who do bicep curls and they want big arms, but all they do is bicep curls? Well, they're not really, yes, they're training their bicep, but they're not really training the rest of their arm to actually obtain the muscle mass that they are looking for. So if he was just doing squats, if he was just doing squats and squats and squats, all he's training is his quadriceps, not his hamstrings, not his soleus, not his gastrocnemius. So all he's really doing is just training his quadriceps, which will give him the power to lift up, but he's really not working out any other muscle groups that isn't going to give him the full extent of the vertical jump and stop. And the third common mistake that people tend to have during a vertical jump is not fully jumping, where his body is extending fully all the way, where he then can hurt himself. And he's going to demonstrate that right now. As you can see, he didn't lift his arms up to where he can fully extend. He is landing on the balls of his feet or flat foot. So all the pressure is not exerted throughout the whole body. It's just more of like a shock. So when Christopher lands and not fully extending his whole full motion of the movement, his sorry, no, that hurts. His foot tends to land flat, which can then put pressure on his Achilles tendon, his knee, because he can hyperextend it, and then his spinal column will compress, so his lower lumbar will absorb most of the shock, which is not good for you anyways, because you can do like a herniated disc, and that you can have problems later on. And then he's not fully extended out, so his arms, the whole movement is supposed to flow as one. So if he's just whole movement will then give him problems